right, I think we're just about ready to get started, and if folks continue to join us, that's all right. So thanks everyone for hopping on tonight to join us for our conversation about Piers Park 3 programming, tonight focusing on recreational programs. We're excited to have tonight's meeting co-hosted by Alex DeFranzo of the Piers Park Sailing Center and Joseph Gaeta of the East Boston YMCA. Along with a group of us from the trustees team, I'm Amy I. Nation. We have Gabriela Ramirez, Nick Black, and Christine Boynton also joining us tonight. Before we jump in, just a few housekeeping notes. At the bottom of your Zoom window, you'll see an interpretation option, a little globe symbol. We're joined tonight by a Spanish translator. So please take a moment to select your correct language channel, either English or Spanish, but please do choose a channel regardless of what language you choose so that folks can share in either language and we all hear the translations live. I also want to take a moment to thank TD Bank for their support of the translation available tonight through the TD Ready commitment. I'm going to pass it over to Gabriela to say a hello as well.
Hello, everyone. I am going to make sure that people that need translation are able to hear. So, buenas noches, muchas gracias por venir. Estamos bien felices de ver a ustedes y tener esta conversación con los de East Boston YMCA y los del Piers Park Sailing Center para avisarles que tenemos interpretación en español. Entonces, en su pantalla van a ver un globo abajo que dice Interpretation. Usted puede clicar ahí y poner español y va a poder oír la conversación en español. Y si tiene una pregunta, puede levantar la mano y puede decir su pregunta o puede ponerlo en el chat, pero no tenga pena en hablar. So, muchas gracias y vamos a hablar sobre el Parque Azul 3. We're good to go.
All right, so I'm just going to start with a quick reminder of who we are and what we're doing here tonight for those of you who may not have joined us for previous Piers Park 3 meetings. So just a brief introduction of the trustees and the Piers Park 3 project. The trustees is the nation's first and Massachusetts' largest preservation and conservation nonprofit. Our mission is to preserve and protect distinctive and dynamic places of exceptional scenic, historic, and ecological value for the benefit of the public. So today, these special places include gardens, parks, farms, beaches, historic homesteads, campgrounds, really all types of places across the state, including over 120 properties statewide. So we may be best known for beaches and some of these other more rural and suburban areas. Our roots actually lie in the city of Boston, where we were founded over 130 years ago. The trustees is the largest owner of community gardens in the city of Boston. We have 56 community gardens in our care, totaling 15 acres across 8 Boston neighborhoods, including 2 gardens here in East Boston, the Eagle Hill Community Garden on Border Street, as well as the Joe Ciampa Garden that's actually just across the street from Piers Park. So these are spots where folks can gather together, supplement family food budgets, grow local produce, really great resources for the community. And the Trustees Boston Waterfront Initiative seeks to create a network of public green open space around the heart of Boston's harbor, achieving the goals that you see here. So creating world-class destinations that support the needs of diverse communities, increasing access to the waterfront, and really bringing value to the climate resiliency goals of the city of Boston. And then ultimately that all of this is done in a financially feasible way. So we've spent time assessing a variety of sites across Boston Harbor over the last few years, and we continue to pursue several sites as part of, again, a vision of a network of open space. But tonight we're really here to focus on that first official site that we're moving forward with, and so excited about that, Piers Park 3 in East Boston. Early on in the initiative, we saw a lot of potential here in East Boston to achieve those goals I was talking about resiliency, world-class design, supporting community need, here at the Piers Park complex. So we started a conversation with Massport about that possibility of creating additional park space here at Piers Park Phase 3, which you see outlined in green. So next to the well-loved and existing Piers Park that I think you'll see actually just behind Alex in his screen tonight. as well as next to the future Piers Park Phase 2, which is being developed into additional park space by Massport. So in 2018, we responded to an RFP that Massport had put out looking for a partner to turn Piers Park Phase 3 into public open space. And we were really excited in 2020 to officially be designated as those developers for the Piers Park 3 space. So late in 2020, we launched the community design phase, and it's continuing throughout this year. And I'm going to pass it again to Gabriella to talk us through a little bit of sort of where we are now in that community design phase.
Hello, everyone. My name is Gabriela Ramirez. I'm the Community Outreach Coordinator for the Trustees Boston Waterfront Initiative. I'm so excited to be here and telling you more about the project. So we're still at the relatively in the beginning of the design process. It's being narrowed down through a rigorous process of engineering, programming, and community review that then will go through detailed and documented for construction. My role has been to talk to many of you about what you envision at Piers Park 3. I've been constantly emailing a lot of you to fill out our community survey, and we thank you for that. That's been a great tool for us to make sure that the design reflects what the community wants and needs, and it reflects who the community is. And so right now, that's where we are. We're in the concept development and making sure that we're gathering community feedback. So as I was saying, my constant emailing to a lot of you has paid off. We have over 800 survey responses in English and in Spanish. And we've been hearing great feedback from many of you about what you envision in the park. And so we're hearing from many different types of feedback from people that have just moved into the community, that have been here for a while, that didn't even know that Pier existed and now have great ideas on what to do. And so we're really focused on gathering community feedback. And we thank you for responding to the survey if you have. And if you didn't, we'll be putting it in the chat, and I will definitely be emailing you to remind you to fill out your community survey. And we're so excited for these events because we get to hear directly from you about what you envision at the park.
So I'm just quickly going to show the current design vision from our landscape architects, Michael Van Valkenburg and Associates. So this design that I'm showing here, it's still evolving as we continue to gather feedback this year, but this is where we are with the design currently. As you can see, it features opportunities to climb up high and get views out to the harbor, to the city, out to the harbor islands, as well as ways to get down closer to the water's edge. And you'll see that the edge of the park is really it kind of includes the whole tidal zone, not really a strict hard edge. We know that because of the way that it's built, that edge of the park will vary a lot between high and low tide, since we have such a robust tidal cycle here in Boston. So there's a lot of opportunities to incorporate living shoreline, the salt marsh elements that you see here on the screen. We also see opportunities to perhaps retain certain aspects of the old pier. Those are still, ideas in early stages of development, but could be, an option to retain habitat and resilience while nodding to the site's industrial past as well. Again, emphasizing sort of ways to enjoy nature, passive recreation opportunities with the design, a series of lawns that would allow for some events, things that we've heard from in the feedback so far, things like hosting events and programs like maybe, concerts or movie nights or things like that could happen on the lawns. And excited to hear, more ideas from folks tonight about more specifically recreational types of programs that either this design might offer, or if you're seeing, maybe opportunities that we could think about how the design might change to, again, allow for different types of recreational program opportunities. I'm just going to show one more image before we kind of hop into the discussion tonight. And this here is not necessarily design, but sort of, we like to call it a polished collage of the types of things that we think are possible with the site. So again, just kind of showing those elements that we're thinking about, like ways to engage with the water, an edge that's resilient and provide some habitat creation perhaps, and a variety of landscapes as well, so that, you know, it's depending on where you are in the park, it's a different experience. And then I think we're ready to kind of shift our focus and get into our conversation about recreational programming. So I'm gonna toss it back to Gabriella.
Thank you, Amy. Once again, thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We're really excited to hear what everyone has to say. But before that, I think it's time that we hear from two amazing community leaders in our community. We have Joe and Alex, Joe from the YMCA and Alex from Piers Park, directly from Piers Park Sailing Center. Thank you once again for joining us and sharing about your experience doing recreational programming. And so to start off, do you guys want to introduce yourself and the work that you're doing, both pre-COVID and now with COVID?
I'll go. Thanks, Gabriella. It's great to be here tonight from Piers Park in East Boston at Piers Park Sailing Center. The program's been here since 1998, and our main purpose is to make the harbor more accessible and welcoming. We run a very big youth program. In a normal non-pandemic year, we have about 2,000 kids that come through the sailing center. And then we also teach adults and do programming for people with disabilities. And we're really excited about Piers Park 3. You know, the dilapidated pier has really degraded in the last 2 decades. And to think that it could be a new space that people can enjoy from all around the city and all around the Commonwealth is really, really exciting. And just looking forward to hearing some recreational ideas tonight.
Awesome. Thanks, Alex. So my name is Joe Gate. I'm the executive director at the East Boston YMCA. We are a full service front-facing community organization. We have everything from pre-COVID as well as now, and during COVID, childcare, wellness opportunities for all ages, youth sports, aquatics when we have the amount of pool that's coming back to us soon once the school allows us back in. So a lot of different things that we provide, particularly youth sports, which we'll talk about more tonight, or recreational activities, but group exercise. But during the pandemic, we did a lot of food insecurity service in the community where we pushed out almost 1 million meals from this branch on Bremen Street. And we partnered with a lot of organizations in the community to make sure that we help fill those gaps for food insecurity. We also offered emergency childcare for frontline workers during the pandemic at no cost in East Boston. So now we're gradually drifting back into summer camp and all those wonderful programs. So right now, all our summer camps are full. So kids are coming back out. Our membership is starting to rise back out. People are starting to get back out, feel safer, coming to the gym and working out. So we're seeing people come back for wellness opportunities. Just like Alex said, really excited to hear from you all tonight, talk a little bit more about how we can help support recreation activities at Piers Park 3.
Thank you both for introducing yourself and a bit about what you do. So I had a couple of questions before we open up the floor to everyone. So Alex and Joe, if you could share what programs or events are popular in the community that you currently host and you think have been really successful.
I think anything that gives people the opportunity to enjoy the waterfront and to actually get on the harbor itself is huge. It's something that a lot of people don't get to experience. Most of the ways that you get out on the harbor are expensive and kind of limited in scope. So some of the things I'm most excited about is public kayaking that's low or no cost for people from the community, and expanded access to sailing and being able to get out on the water. And when we do big free program events, like during Easter Week or Easter Pride Day, and we have like between 400 and 600 people that get to go out on the water that haven't done it before, it's always like one of the happiest and most enjoyable days down on the waterfront to see so many families getting to enjoy the harbor. And I feel like that's how it should be all of the time.
So the why we do a lot of programming, but most importantly, group wellness classes, our group exercise classes for all ages are really important for us. And being able to provide those at no cost for the community is really important at this time, coming out of COVID, to access stress relief. So offering programs such as, so all ages, Tai Chi for seniors, family boot camp for our families, Zumba, other opportunities for classes folks normally wouldn't have access to, but offering them at zero cost to the community. So creating that type of access, but also creating a small group community feel of folks coming together to enjoy wellness with their family or with their friends. So that's really important to us.
And I have done both. So I am a true testament that that's amazing programming. My other question was, what opportunities do you, given that you've seen Piers Park 3, what opportunities do you see in the park right now that you could expand, or, you know, like the sky's the limit? What else do you see possible at Piers Park 3?
I'm really excited about the connection to the water. A lot of the waterfront and the harbor walk is just bulkhead that's fenced, so you can walk along and look and see what's going on in the harbor, but not interact directly with it. And having the chance to get down and actually be in the water is going to be incredible. If that's a possibility for Piers Park 3, I think it would make really unique setup for people to be able to enjoy in a way that they can't really anywhere else in East Boston. At least it's not encouraged anywhere. People might do it. And I think also having a safe place to kayak in a more kind of enclosed area is really exciting too.
Yeah, so we're really excited about the ability to probably host wellness opportunities to the community, and have that beautiful backdrop of that skyline. So when we talk to folks a lot, we talk about how beautiful the views from Piers Park is, Lopresti Park, and just having that beautiful skyline in the background. I think we have the best view in the city of the skyline. So being able to offer wellness opportunities for the community on that space, and if the Y can't provide family opportunities, you know, I talked a lot during the interview process of, can we put a skating rink drop down during the winter time, since, you know, it'd be awesome to skate around that area and have the backdrop, but also have accessibility for maybe our young people and teens to have some sort of a business or concession on that land where it's not it's not a business, it's young people running a smoothie shop or something. Just the ability to further extend our programming, but definitely being able to offer free accessible wellness programs to the community on that space. A large open, yes, I see, yes, ice skating, yes. So things like that, really important. And I think the community deserves awesome accessibility to our waterfront.
Both make great points. Thank you for sharing. Before I open up the floor, is there anything else that I didn't ask that you wanted to share? If not, then we can move on to everyone else sharing their thoughts.
I just say what a huge opportunity this is, and so wonderful that this space is going to be open and accessible to everyone. You know, there's a lot of different things that pier could have become, and the park is like the best outcome possible.
I definitely agree with Alex. It could have been a lot of things, and we know what those things are. So it's really nice to have some green space back in our community, offered back to our residents. But definitely make yourself heard and have your time about what you want now. Now's the time. As we're doing this process, it's really important so that us as nonprofit leaders can hear what you want with the trustees, so that we can work in collaboration to offer these programs to you all.
Agree. As someone from East Boston, born and raised, could not have said that better myself. Amy?
Yeah, I just wanted to recognize that we have a couple of folks from our local electeds offices joining us tonight as well. I wanted to thank them for being here. And if you want to say anything to the group tonight, we're happy to have you come off mute and say hello or say something in the chat. And we just are thankful to have you here.
Hi, I just wanted to say hi. I'm Paola Viatoro. I was not born in Eastie, but I've been raised here since I was 5. I'm also part of Senator Boncori's team. I'm his district liaison. Totally appreciate what is being done. Piers Park, grew up going to Piers Park myself. And I think it's amazing that it's being used as a climate resilient park. I think East Boston could use a lot more of that. So thank you so much for your work. And if you guys ever need anything, you know, our office is here to help.
Thanks so much. Well, I think we can open it up and start taking some questions and comments from folks. I know there's been a couple things in the chat already. I've seen ice skating and food trucks come in. And happy to have, if folks want to put stuff in the chat or just come right off mute or raise your hand if you want to. We have a pretty manageable crowd tonight. So I think it's all right if you just want to come right off and add your thoughts or any questions about recreational program opportunities for Piers Park 3.
So I can share, we got a comment in the chat that says, wondering if catch and release fishing option for the community youth might be viable. The State Department of Fish and Games might be a willing partner for providing the equipment.
I love that idea.
It's not a bad idea. I've never heard of that. So thank you for sharing that. Mary put in the chat, pop-up naturalist, bird and animal talks, you're building an incredible habitat, a bit more naturalistic than other parts of our waterfront. Not the first one to say that, Mary.
Yeah, we're definitely excited about opportunities that the park's design might provide in terms of some more natural programming. And I'll also take this opportunity to make a little plug that we're also hosting a meeting next week that's focusing a little more on climate and educational programs. Also happy to hear suggestions that fall outside of recreation tonight, but we'll also definitely be delving more into those issues next week as well. And then I think I see that Patty has her hand raised, so you can come right off mute.
Hi.
Right.
I love this concept, and I want to build a little bit on Mary's concept. The tidal pool, I love that. When I've gone to the aquarium, you can't get near the tidal pool that's there for all the kids. They love getting in there, getting wet, touching. It may take a couple of years to populate, but I think it's a great forward-looking educational opportunity. We've got the aquarium. Northeastern has a marine biology program. And if we can get some students or even get the aquarium to come over and do some teaching in that in the tidal pool, I think that's just a great opportunity for the kids. Get in there, get wet and dirty, and see what nature can really give them. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, Patty. Great idea. I did want to also mention that there was a question in the chat asking, what is the plan for the back of house function for the sailing center?
We don't know for sure yet. We're working with Massport still as they continue on with the phase 2 design. I'll go on a field trip for a quick show and tell. So right now, we have these shipping containers over here. That's where we do a lot of our maintenance on the boats. And it doesn't take up a whole lot of room, but we'll need a small area to do that in the future. And I'm sure there's plenty of space with all the transformation of the park. And on fishing and all of the, marine life that we have here at the sailing center, there's a lot of really cool stuff. So in the summertime, we have a program with younger kids that we do in partnership with Save the Harbor, Save the Bay, where they fish off of the dock and they drop crab traps and they catch all sorts of stuff. There's right now there's moon jellyfish which don't sting and lion's mane jellyfish which do sting. There's spider crabs, rock crabs, green crabs. They catch striper bass sometimes, and it's a cool place to see marine life in its natural habitat. So definitely, the pier is not a great environment for natural marine life, but with this being much more kind of coastal and fitting with the habitat, I think we'll see even more of that.
Thank you for answering that question, Alex. Another question or another comment. The White might be able to offer field trip and science day activities that would involve training young rangers to introduce them to the flora and fauna at the park.
Thank you for that. We are really excited to have that accessibility for our young people. As of right now, a lot of our trips, because of COVID, are local and walkable and not accessible by a train. So we've had to, last year and this year, really plan our camp around local and parks and recreation. So yes, we would love to take advantage of that, and anything we could do in collaboration with Piers Park or DCR, the trustees, we would love to operate.
Thank you for answering that, Joe. And I can pose a question. Feel free to answer it in the chat, or if you are not shy and want to share it out loud, so we can get more ideas. And so hearing the programming that Alex and Joe do, what programs that already exist would you like to see more of? Whether it's expanding sailing, it's expanding the camps that are run in the YMCA. What would we like to see more of? I can answer that. I'll answer that as an East Boston resident. I definitely think one thing I really like about this concept is the access to the water. I grew up here. My mom and my grandmas used to take me to the park all the time. Can't have enough sailing. Yes, Jill, 100% agree. I think having opportunities that I didn't have growing up, such as having access to the harbor, knowing more about what it means to be a climate resilient park. That's a fun term that I would have not been able to name when I was 10, but my cousins know about it now. I think it's a great experience that we're learning about this, and that this park might have that possibility. And so sharing some comments, Mary said what Jill said and kayaks, and then did the heart in her comments. And then Sandra said more space for our sailing center.
Thanks, Sandra.
So I'll just jump in and ask some questions if so. So like we're seeing a huge different a change in the folks who are moving to East Boston, age wise, and being able to. We do have bocce ball. So if you come to the Y, I'll show you where the bocce ball court is. It's literally across the field, and there's a 2-lane bocce ball court right here across from the Y. It's covered by 1A, but it's still covered. But you have access to that. It's totally free. Chalkboards and everything are there. If you want, I have balls. You want to take them? They're under here. I'll lend them to you. Yeah, stop by. But we're seeing a lot of folks looking for programs for ages 3 to 5 and 5 to 8. Do folks have any comments on that? For us at the Y, we're running T-ball for the community right now. We have 65 little ones who are 3 to 5 having a great time right now. So if there's more opportunity for us to offer that type of programs to our young ones, our toddler age, our after school age youth, would you be interested in that? Or if we hosted a movie night on the pier or something like that, what would you like to see from us if we were to have space in that area?
And just echoing what Joe said, I think it might be a programming that we've never heard of, or that you've seen it, but you haven't seen it in Boston or Massachusetts. Maybe you've gone to visit some family and you said, this is a great program that could be done, but there is no space, or we don't know someone that can do it. We are here to hear what we can make possible. So please feel free to share something you've seen, but you don't think there's been a space. Now there is. We're making one.
We have a lot of really great schools that are close by too. And I think thinking about programming that can take place in the fall, winter, and spring is important, because the first phase of Piers Park is usually not very active during the school year. And the more we can bring people down to engage and still be involved on the waterfront in that kind of shoulder and winter season, so the kids can do something outside of the classroom, is great too.
Patty, you had a question or a comment?
I have a comment. Building up on everything and your questions, Joe, anything that gets toddlers engaged and moving and working. I didn't know you had a bocce ball court. I am delighted to hear that. If I had anybody that would go and play bocce with me, that would be great. My niece has 9-year-old twins. 5 years ago, I was down, they live in DC. I went to visit 5 years ago. They insisted they had to take Auntie Patty out to play bocce, and we went to an indoor bocce court. I played dumb, told the kids I didn't know how to play bocce. We spent an hour with 2 4-year-olds trying to teach me how to play bocce, and with me trying to pretend that I didn't know how to play bocce. I didn't know what I was doing. And we just had a ball. And it's a great toddler activity. We didn't worry about keeping score. They did. They had to measure every ball and make sure whether Auntie Patty got close enough to it or not. And of course they won. But Joe, anything that engages them, doesn't have to be anything organized. I mean, you grew up around here. We played out, when I grew up, of course, there were no cars around, so we could play out on the street. We played tag, Red Rover, stoplight, hide and seek. You could, and anything, and Piers Park 3 is going to have plenty of space. Anything like that, let's get some of us old people there to teach the kids all of the games we played. And so they're not forgotten, because all of these games are being forgotten. Nobody knows how to play a street game anymore.
Well, if you want to come play bocce ball, I'm here. So I got the set, so we'll play. But
I'll take you up on that someday, Joe. I'll call and make sure you're around, and you don't have meetings, and we'll go out and play some bocce.
It would be my pleasure. And thank you, Sandra, for the pool comment. Yes, we do need a swimming pool. Just a little background on that. I get that question a lot from folks. So when this Y was built here in 2006 on the Mary Ellen Welch Greenway, the need of the community was affordable childcare. So in lieu of a swimming pool, we built 6 on-site classrooms to help combat that issue. We still do have a need for childcare in this community, especially infant care. But we are using currently the Umana pool that is still our site. We're just waiting for the no visitor policy to expire, and we'll be back offering that program there as well. But I am a lifelong East Boston resident. I was born and raised. I still do live here, so I do know the need for a pool, and I am looking for space in certain developments to offer that type of service for our community.
I will also take up to play bocce ball. I don't know what that is. Oops. But I still grew up learning playing tag. My legs have a bunch of scars from playing freeze tag. So still alive, Patty. Maybe not right now, but it was alive when I was growing up. Other comments have been outdoor Zumba and yoga classes for adults and kids can be offered for 8 to 9 months of the year. The programs at the Esplanade Association and Magazine Beach Park have been really successful. Amateur musicians can do open mic nights. And then Sarah said swimming to complement touch of the water experiences and water safety and on the water activities.
So in lieu of a pool, if the Y has access to the waterfront, we can teach a course that we offer called Safety Around Water. It's not exactly a swim lesson. It teaches our young people what to do if they were to fall into the water and how to save themselves. So if we do have access to a waterfront that allows us to enter it, we would love to offer that program at no cost to the community.
That's amazing. I don't know how to swim, but I can kayak and sail.
We're gonna change that.
So we'll take it up on that. Anything that involves swimming, I'm happy to learn and do it. Are there any other comments?
I can't save anybody because I don't know how to swim and I'm afraid to go in the water. I almost drowned with my daughter in the pool. I went swimming in Milton with one of my housing workers and the water kept taking me deeper and deeper. And I had my daughter on my back. So I stay in like the 3 feet since I can't really swim. And I try to go back towards the 3 feet and it wasn't helping. So I end up going down in the water, but I was trying to hold her up in the over the water so that she would not go down and swallow any of the chlorine and stuff like that. And the lifeguards, they were just sitting there. They literally let me go under the water like 3 or 4 times, just sitting there. And my housing worker goes, "Oh, I would have saved you, but I was too busy swimming." And I had my baby on my shoulder because she couldn't get in the water by herself. And ever since that happened, I've been so petrified of going in any kind of water. Any kind of water, I'm so petrified. I'll sit on the steps and that's as far as I go. I would sit on the steps and be happy with the steps and get my body wet like that. But other than going swimming and saving anybody, yeah, don't count on me because I'm really, really, really scared of the water now. Ever since that happened, and I should be over it, but that haunts you for the rest of your life and stuff like that. It carries with you because when I get ready to go into the water, I have flashbacks. And now I won't even go in the water at all. I won't even go to the beach. I'll go to the beach and I won't go in the water. But yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Yolanda. I think that also speaks to the reality. You're not the only one that might not know how to swim. I can testify to that. And even some parents might be hesitant to have water activities, more water activities, because they themselves might not feel safe. So I think that definitely speaks to what we have to think about when we're doing recreational programming and planning for it on the waterfront. So thank you. You brought a great point.
You're welcome.
And Yolanda, once we open the pool back at the Y, come see me and I'll make sure you learn how to swim. I promise. It'll be safe. Okay, well, the offer's there.
I'm gonna give a shout out to Joey because every year they certify like, I don't know, over 100 kids to come do sailing at the sailing center. And the Y, I think, probably teaches more kids in East Boston how to swim than anyone else. Incredible.
So with us, our hiatus at the Umana pool, I am also currently overseeing the Charlestown Y right now. So we have that pool available for folks, and for you, Alex, if you want to get your guys in there ready. So we have the Charlestown pool ready. But yeah, it's we actually started certifying DCF lifeguards, our teenagers in Charlestown and East Boston, to give them jobs this summer, and they're going to get really great jobs at our pools locally. So we really want, I feel like not take up any time, but the access to our waterfront and swimming is a social justice issue. Like we, in our community, people should have safe access to the water. They should be able to go to the sailing center and use that facility to the best of its ability. And I think that the better we can do at teaching our young people how to swim early, it's like riding a bike, Gabriella. Once you learn once, you'll learn forever. So once the pool's up and at them, we'll be back at combating that. But in the meantime, we are using our Charlestown Y for our pool facility.
I'm gonna go back quickly to the games because you can see behind me in Piers Park, It's big and it's beautiful, but there's nobody here using it right now. And because balls are not allowed, or bike riding or rollerblading or anything like that, we have in the summertime, like 140 kids are here every day. And we've gotten creative over the years about the games we could play. We do a lot of capture the flag and sharks and minnows and stuff like that. But having a new portion of the park in 2 and 3 where a lot of that fun stuff we haven't been able to do in the past is going to be available, I think is going to be great and make the park more welcoming, more inclusive, and something that more people would want to enjoy. When I go down to Low Presti and see how busy it is and active all of the time, it makes me excited to think about what Piers Park 2 and 3 will be like in the future.
Lydia, were you going to say something? I don't know if I saw your hand raised or something.
Oh, yeah, no, I was only going to add to Yolanda's comment. Yolanda, I didn't learn swimming till I had a child. And that was precisely the reason I needed to learn swimming. And I was not at the ECY, but I was at the Somerville Y, which was an amazing place. And they had me swimming in 3 weeks. So for somebody who didn't even know how to paddle, I hold a lot of faith in the Y's ability to teach people. And I really think, the reason it succeeds, I think, is because there's a class there and the people you're committed to. And you have to show up at that time to be with the rest of the class. I was wondering, if there was a way you get your pool and then we connected with them and brought them out to the harbor front. And I don't know how much we can or cannot let people go into the harbor from Piers Park 3. That's a question. But there is something to graduating from swimming pools and then maybe a quick dive in the harbor. But I don't know, the water quality or the logistics are of letting people get into the water there.
It's the
Well,
cleanest it's been in probably over 100 years.
water quality is great. We definitely do have to address the question of whether it's, wading in the tide pool versus, full on swimming. I think that's something we're still figuring out, but
Like maybe we could
the water's clean.
right, maybe you could ward off an area, like a little mini wading pool for adults. Anyway, it's just I was thinking graduating people from the Y's pool to the ocean would be awesome.
Mary said, clean, clear, and cold. And yes, I actually went last week and I was able to see a bunch of jellyfishes. And I brought my cousin and he was counting them and he was like, oh my God, there's jellyfishes here. I didn't even know about that. Like he was so excited. So I'm really excited to see what else he'll find once Piers Park 3 is up and running.
Thanks to Save the Hobbit, Save the Bay for that.
And just posing another question, if anyone wants to answer in the chat, or in speaking up. I know we talked a lot about expanding access to the water and the programs that Alex and Joe have done, but is there anything else recreational that might not necessarily be like kayaking or learning how to swim that we think is missing, like different recreational programs that are missing locally or that you've heard a lot of community members say that they would like to see? And Vidya said, maybe we can get canoes with transparent bottoms. Oh, I like the way you think. I see Patty giving you a thumbs up, so definitely something we can jot down because it's not a bad idea. Like Nick said in our previous conversation, there's no bad ideas tonight. Sarah said paddle boats? Question mark. Charissa said ice skating.
That's actually a good reminder that we've heard a lot of ideas about opportunities that might be more focused on warm weather, but does anyone have ideas for recreational programs that are more like winter focused or other seasons that we maybe aren't used to thinking about getting outside during winter and doing recreational programs? But I know folks have gotten more creative, especially over the last year. So any ideas that folks want to add to the ice skating idea about recreational programs or outdoor activities we could do in the park in the wintertime?
Yes, and then Jill posted a comment and said there's a youth boat building program that partners with the local waterfront in Philly, something cool to consider for sure. And then the kids build their own boat and paint/decorate it with their own style. The boats are docked by the park for people to check out. That sounds amazing. Wow. And then Mary said, this may sound crazy, but stargazing. On a clear night, we can see a large number of stars for an urban area. And in summer, Piers Park is open late. Any other comments?
You know, there are, just to build on Mary's comment, there are several amateur telescope clubs, stargazing clubs that we could invite. We have them over in Milton at the Hutchinson's Field. So they can come in, you know, set up their telescopes and people can come and, you know, hot chocolate and watch the stars. It's surprising how sometimes how much you can see, even from something, you know, from this location. So definitely something to consider. So I'm going to combine a couple of comments here and say, it sounds like we do need some we need open, grassy lawn space where, or at least one space where all of this can kind of happen. Yeah, Patty, they will teach the constellations. They actually have these amazing pointers that can, you know, beam up into the sky and they can show you the constellations. It's a big hit with kids as well.
It's a big hit in my mind just thinking about it. You know, what I really like about this conversation is that like, to be honest, like these programs, like I would have never expected them to be even considered to be an EC when I was growing up. So the fact that we're brainstorming them and they're successful in other towns, so we know it's a great program. It's just amazing. So like we said, no bad ideas. The sky's the limit. But that would be really cool, like to teach about doing stargazing and teaching. I would love that.
I'm wondering if folks have any suggestions other than our awesome partners who are here on the call tonight. Are there other organizations or groups that we should be thinking about working with who do recreational programming either in Eastie or elsewhere, to bring in other experts who are doing similar programs or different recreational programs? If anyone has any ideas to share there.
Jill mentioned City Parks Alliance. I've never heard of them. Jill, could you share like really quickly what they do? Or unless someone else has heard about them.
Jill may have her hands full with the little one right now.
You caught on. I was trying to type quickly and it just was not working, so I'm just coming off. City Parks Alliance is an umbrella group for city parks, and they do webinars and have experts on all kinds of topics. Recreational use and programming is just one of them. They also have resilience and all kinds of things. Sorry, can you hear Paw Patrol in the background? Let me move over here. But their bar is a member, so I'm happy to offer the membership benefits to trustees so you guys can plug into that network because there are some really cool ideas. That was it, period, full stop.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that sounds amazing. I've never heard of them. So it's nice to know that there is that existing, like they're doing successful work. Any other organizations that, whether they're in East Boston or the greater Boston area, that we think would be great partners to think about recreational programming? And Alex and Joe, you guys might also know other organizations that we might not know. So if you know of anyone, please share.
I see Sarah put in community boat building. They do kind of what Jill was talking about. The kids build boats and then they rent them out at Jamaica Pond, and we could totally do that on the harbor too. And then I was thinking Eastie Farm, we should have community cookouts that could go all year long and save the harbor for fishing and pulling up all the cool sea creatures that live down on the harbor floor.
Yeah, I will plug that we've already been in contact with EC Farms, given that they do amazing work. They do a little bit of everything, because I know they do some like music at the gardens, they do some arts and crafts, they do food justice work. So I think they would be also like great partners to think about that. So you're on the right track, Alex. And then Jill also shared, Michael at Maritime Gloucester would have great ideas to share. We'll note that down. Anything else? I'm not sure if everyone has had a chance to look at the design for Piers Park 3, but once again, like thinking about it, as Alex is showing the beautiful Piers Park. If there's anything that you've seen that you think is missing, or think is missing, or we could plug in. And I don't know if Alex wants to do a quick tour.
I was just trying to show you a bunny, but there's a graduation also happening right now in this park. I don't know if you can see it, it's too far away.
Oh, wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, the Samuel Adams had their graduation there last week. I feel so bad for the kids. I mean, we all had these great big graduations, and I mean, it's great having it in the park. It's a lot better than being stuck in an auditorium, but I feel bad for everything that they've missed.
Yeah, for sure, Patty, agree with you. But also I'm so happy, like I'm so fortunate that my graduation was pre-COVID, but I think also knowing that Piers Park is a great spot to do a graduation, I would have never thought that. So that's a great thing to know, that it's a great site for the community. Jill also put in the chat, musical instruments embedded in the park. I was a super nerd at Brooklyn Bridge Park when I found them. Amy would know, she was there. And
Just to note on Jill's comment there, so the Piers PAC, the community group that oversees the first Piers Park and worked on the design for phase 2, also went down to Brooklyn Bridge Park and also saw those musical instruments. And I believe there's a musical walking path currently built into the design of phase 2. So I think one way or another, we're going to get some integrated music into the landscape at Piers Park.
I was going to mention that because I saw that in the Piers Park 2 design. So there are musical instruments embedded. And then I wanted to share what Paul also put. He said, I like that phase 2 appears to cater to smaller scale activities. Phase 1 and 2 have larger open and flat spaces that can accommodate larger group activities.
We're definitely hoping to kind of work with the existing park and the planned park of phase 2 to make sure that we're offering complementary features and options and opportunities through the the phase 3 design. And just want to again remind folks that if you have other ideas that you didn't get a chance to share tonight, or you think of a great idea, when you're falling asleep tonight, we're still looking for those ideas to come in. You can always send our team an email. There's a bunch of ways to get in touch with us on our website. I dropped the link for our meeting next week that's focusing, again, more on climate and education programming, but always happy to hear different ideas that come up in the course of the conversation. So we hope that you'll consider joining us for that conversation as well. And again, share all of this with your friends and family who may have missed it tonight. If they have ideas they want to make sure we hear about, this isn't your last chance to give us recreational program ideas. We're still going to be, open to hearing things and hosting more, meetings and conversations as the months continue this year, as we really focus on getting the design where we want it to be with community feedback added in, all throughout this process, as we continue through this process, mostly this, during this year, during this window.
Yes, thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing your thoughts and your comments, filling out the survey. Once again, if you haven't, I will be emailing you to fill it out. But please, if you have time, fill it out. We really appreciate the community feedback. We really want the design to reflect the community and make sure that we include everyone's thoughts and opinions. And thank you once again to Alex and Joe. You guys are doing amazing work, and we're so happy to have you sharing more about the work you're doing and the way that we can support one another once Piers Park 3 is up and running. So exciting.
Thanks for having this meeting tonight.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Great, thank you. I love the design. Can't wait to see it and open.
Thank you for joining. Thank you for all your feedback.
Good night, everybody. It was nice.
Good night.
Good night.
Surprise.